What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Market Mentor Ventures channel. My name is Dahuda Hunter, aka the Market Mentor. It's been a busy month already, but hey, we're here. We made it. It's November 11th, and it's time to do our breakdown. Quick shout outs to everybody who was able to capture the opportunities I mentioned in the previous market breakdown for October when I was talking about, be mindful of the pullbacks. This October may be a little bit different. In my opinion, I felt like we had two significant pullback periods in October, and we shared those plays in the Patreon, and those plays definitely did great. I know Visa, we talked about Visa that went as high as almost 60%. Unfortunately for me, I was playing too tight of a defense and got stopped out at like 15, but hey, a profit is a profit, right? Microsoft did great as well, up as high as 90% before retracing, and same thing with Amazon, as we see, just keeps trotting along. So again, speaks to the point of when we see pullbacks on quality companies, you know, and they match up with the setup that we have been practicing and working on, you got to execute. But again, that's not financial advice. I'm just here to show you guys where I see those setups and how I go about finding those setups. So November is considered, per the Stock Traders Almanac, to be the best 6 months of the market. And we've been talking about, seasonal rallies, and we've talked about the holiday rally. That is the strongest rally of all the seasons. So that's what makes this month so important, and also the end of October. So we're definitely still close to all-time highs. Few things to just make note of. Yes, we are still in the middle of the government shutdown. We did miss the jobs reports for September and October as well. We did get the inflation report for September, which led to the rate cuts, quarter point for last month, and we still have another rate cut decision to make at the beginning of December. Being that we didn't have the normal jobs report, they've been going off of the ADP reports, which serves for the private sectors versus what we normally get, which is the official non-farm payroll from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, which covers both the private and the government jobs. We are supposed to be getting those reports, I believe, November 13th this week, but most likely I've been seeing some reports on Yahoo Finance as well saying that even if the government was to open up officially tomorrow, we probably won't get them right away. And the first reports that we would be getting would be the September jobs report. So a lot of catching up in terms of data to look for. It's the inflation report actually that is coming out November 13th. Sorry. The jobs reports typically come out on that first Friday, but the inflation report, October's inflation report, should be coming out in 2 days. So that's something to pay attention to. So yeah, the data doesn't lie. November to January has tended to be a nice little sweet spot in the market to capture the holiday rallies. And we're going to talk about that and bring up some statistics. So since 2010, the NASDAQ has closed November, specific, just for the month of November, at 3.2% on average since 2010. SPY is 3.28%, and the Dow's been up 3.68%. Now, in post-election years versus just regular years, the post-election year average for the S&P 500 has been 1.7%. NASDAQ has been 2.2%. The Russell 1K we see has been 3.2% versus the average years where S&P 500 is 1.8. NASDAQ is 2.1 and the Russell 1K is 2.1. So not too much of a drastic difference outside of the Russell 1K, which in post-election years tend to finish almost a percent, more than a percent than the normal average years. Another thing I wanted to talk about from the Stock Traders Almanac is the MACD time signal. So it talks about this MACD time signal that you can utilize to capture the most opportune time to enter the market, to capture that full seasonal rally. And I'm going to go over a few dates that I picked up from the Stock Traders Almanac where it pointed those out, and we'll take a look at that together. So the first one that I saw here was November, we're not going to look at all of them, but November 5th. Of 2020, right? So that is right here, as we can see. I can pull this up a little bit closer. November 5th is right here. And then we do see here in the MACD where we are crossing over and changing momentum into a bullish trend. Sellers are getting weaker, bullish pick up, and it continues to rally actually pretty well. All right, so that's one date that was pretty accurate. The next date we'll skip through, we'll go to 2022. The date for 2022 where it says that MACD signal hit was October 4th. Okay, so we're on October 4th here, and we do see that where it does cross below the zero line, so we're still in like a bearish territory, but we do see a short-term change here, but then we drop right back down again and then cross again, and then that trend continues on into January of next year. That's interesting to see. I mean, as an investor, it wouldn't really matter whether you got in here or versus down here, but if you were trading options, it's a matter of if you have the discipline to hold out that pullback. And interestingly enough, I drew out this monthly trend. The yellows I always use as my monthly time frame. It's interesting to see how it literally bounced off of that trend line and then kept going. So ideally, for me personally, I would like to see that crossover at as close as possible to the support. Obviously, this is close, but this is spot on. And it has a strong bullish candle here. This is a bullish engulfing candle, as we see this one engulfs that previous one, and it continues to go up. As opposed to they said the 5th, as opposed to this one here, so that's something to keep in mind. And that's also why I don't just stick to like one indicator. One indicator does not dictate everything. You have to take in consideration like where you're at in the market. Is this chart showing that it's near an all-time high? Is it near a low? Is it at like a weekly support or a monthly support area? Those factors play a role as well when it comes to building out your thesis. Let's take a look at one more. And then I'm also going to show give you guys two companies that I see as at key areas of support. And don't worry, the Roundtable Patreon, I am not giving away all the tea, but we got to help people out. You know what I mean? We got to help people out. I got something for y'all as well. So let's take a look at, you look at 2023. Let's go to 2023. The date for 2023 where they caught that signal was October 9th. That's right here. And by the way, this chart is a SPY. This is S&P 500. So we see here again, still in bearish sentiment under that zero line, but short term crossing over. It's got weak. Buyer stepped in. It's a nice bullish engulfing candle here too. But again, that same situation where it's like the 200 is a strong level to pay attention to on the daily. Shout out to Ian Dunlap. And then also the 400. But again, if you're trading options, though, do you have the discipline to say, all right, you know what? I have to mark this level off. And if it does go below that, that'll be my stop or whatever the case may be. Or you wait until it actually gets to that 400 area and you take it off from there. This is very similar to that other one that I showed you guys. Again, I personally would try to hold out till I see it as close as possible to that support line and seeing buyers step in, just so that you don't get tricked out your spot when you see something like, all right, it's below the 200, but we came back up and we weren't able to hold that 200 and we fell to the 400. So that's something to keep in mind, because you have that and then it did it again here. But on that second time, that's when the rally continued to take off into the following year. Just an interesting thing from the stock, the almanac that I saw that can be helpful for traders. Again, everybody has their own system. Everybody's learning a different system. It's just a matter of making it work for you. And that's why studying charts, that's why paper trading is just as important. You want to be able to make sure that you can learn something and then implement it and hit your target on a consistent basis before solidifying that plan for yourself. So we went over that little tip that we saw for this month, that MACD timing signal. So let me show you what I'm currently looking at with Visa. We've talked about Visa many times here before. Again, as you guys know, the blue is for my weekly time frames. Let me just pull this up on go to the weekly. So we see here on the weekly time frames how many times it has come down here. And remember in October, we said we caught it in this area and had it rally all the way up there, right? And here we are again. We're back into that same area, around that same area where we initially entered that previous contract. And one thing that I can take away from this, just looking at this chart, is that buyers in this area are not letting up. They haven't let up since June. It's like this is the first time it got to this area. It got back down there in August, and the buyers still drove the price up. They held their ground. Also, one thing to point out on the weekly chart for Visa is that it's been holding that 50 EMA, which is that orange line here, ever since August, and it hasn't fallen below that line. And even when it has, it's pushed right back up. And so here we are. And then when we go to the daily, we're just talking about the 200. I mean, we've lost the 200 line, EMA. 400 is all the way down here. But because history has shown me that buyers are strong in this area, the chances of it getting down to the 400, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion only, is pretty slim, just based off of the fact of seeing how often buyers have stepped in and bought up in this area. The other company that I'll show, and the last one that I'll show for y'all, is Coinbase. We've talked about Coinbase before many times too. Like I said, there's a lot of catalysts during this month that can push the market upwards. We have the government reopening. We saw on Monday or Sunday night that the Senate had passed their votes to reopen the government. We still have to wait for it to go to the House. Nothing's official yet. You also have crypto ETFs waiting on approvals this month. So you also have the Clarity Act coming this month as well for approval. And Coinbase is a major player in the crypto space as well. And we see here, this is that bullish rectangle here because it's been consolidating in this area since November until we broke out of that area in June. And all it looks like it's doing is just retesting where it had broken out from. So we see here, even on the monthly time frame, we haven't gotten below or closed below the 10 EMA since April. And this here actually is you can say it's a variation of a Morningstar pattern. And we go over a bunch of different patterns and candlesticks, what they look like in the Patreon. So if you guys are unfamiliar with that, definitely tap in with the Patreon. We do much more deeper dives on companies and using AI and building out our research to build thesis on certain investments or certain option trades. And so we see that for Coinbase, every time it's gotten back near this 300 area, it has always popped back up right after. Let's look on the weekly and see what that looks like. So for the weekly, that's the 50 EMA that it has been respecting for months, ever since it broke through in May. But we see every time we get back to this area, look at this. The wicks are here and then pops right back up, but you came close again. So this again appears to be an area of strong buyers. And then we come down all the way to the daily as well. And we see here now, this is actually where the 200 EMA is. But even before the 200 EMA made its way up there, look here, there's still a lot of wicks in this area, and you have buyers pushing that price back up from this area. So between the catalysts and just looking at the charts and seeing where buyers have been, I think there's a strong chance that both for Visa and Coinbase, these are strong areas of support. Again, not financial advice, just how I'm viewing the charts currently at the moment. So that's what I got for you guys for this month of November. If you guys want to see more deep dives into the companies that I'm looking at, I saved that for the Patreon. I can't give it all away here. But yeah, tap in with the Patreon so you can see how we break down companies from the fundamental side of things down to the technical side of things and come up with a thesis for our investments and our trades. So everybody, I hope you guys have a great night. Hope you have a great week. Take care, and I will see you again soon. Peace out.